Not terribly. Obviously, we were way talk last night and drafting Michael as a forward, but just like how our list and how our list laid out and where we were picking in each round, we had forwards. A lot of those. There was a lot of D-men at the top of the draft, and so no, it wasn't necessarily by design. It's just kind of the way our list shaped up.
I know it's hard to evaluate right when the draft is done, but were you pleased with the picks you got?
Yeah, very pleased in that there's kind of kids that obviously that we like. We kind of think they're going to be in range for our pick, and with each pick we're kind of keeping our fingers crossed, thinking these are one of the guys we want in that spot. And at each spot we got a kid that we're very excited about that we kind of had projected in that range of the pick, and so yeah, it was again, we feel good about it today, and we'll see down the road how it plays out.
With Max Plant, is it the playmaking ability that excites you there?
Yeah, great, tremendous hockey sense, and his moves the puck really well. Very deceptive skater. He moved well on the ice, but yeah, I really like his hockey sense and his kind of creativity, his playmaking.
Yeah. Do you find you trust with sons of NHL players? I mean, we see that all the time in this sport, but do you look at that and say, he grew up in a hockey household, maybe has because he's known as a high IQ player?
Yeah, honestly, I don't know what to make of a former player's son or not, because some of them make it, some of them don't. So we pay more attention to they come from a good family and whatnot. So I think like any hockey parent or whatever, whether they played or not, some can be a good influence and some can be not. So we don't really put a lot of stock into the former players.
Was hockey getting nervous about you guys drafting a Swede today?
We had a lot of, as always, we had a lot of Swedes on our list. Michael's Norwegian, but he's in the Swedish league, so he can chalk that one up. So yeah, it was I think a pretty diverse draft in that way. We got a Canadian, and managed to squeeze a Canadian in there, or sneak a Canadian in, and checked, and pretty diverse.
Americans, a lot of development.
Yeah. And we liked a lot of those kids on the development team. And what did we drafted? 3 of them, right? Yeah.
In terms of how the draft played out with some of the moves and trades being made across the league, it's impossible to predict, but how did you see it kind of play out? How's in total the draft playing out itself?
I have no idea what other teams are doing. There's some big trades I think this morning here, which were eye-opening. Didn't see that coming, but we really focus on what we're trying to do, and we used all 8 picks. And we're pleased with all the kids that we got, and we'll see how it goes from here.
Do you like taking a goalie in each draft? Do you like trying to add in a goalie prospect in each draft, just kind of with
not necessarily. Not necessarily. We don't want to draft a goalie just to draft a goalie, and our plan isn't necessarily to take one every year. But we want to make sure, we'd like to say we have have enough goalie prospects, enough prospects at every position. With the goaltender thing, it's a little more complicated in that you want to make sure they have a runway, so to speak, to get the pro where they're going, and an opportunity when they do turn pro to have a spot to play. You don't want to have a log jam of goalies because you only have so many spots for them to play. But don't necessarily draft by position, but so obviously you got to look at your prospect pool and see the depth that you have and address each position, not necessarily annually, but regularly.
What did you guys kind of see with his play in the Sioux this year, just to kind of make him?
I saw the Sioux twice. Yeah. I think he played one game. He's a big kid. He was, that'd be really a question I would defer to Drapes, really. But I saw the Sioux up in Flint one night, and he played a pretty good game. He's a big boy, and he moved pretty well in the net.
As you move into free agency now, I'm sure it's tough because you don't really have the negotiating window anymore, but how do you feel about your chances of getting some of the guys you have circled?
Honestly, I don't. At this point, I have no idea. You know, like we'll continue to talk to our own guys here. Haven't given up on that yet. And tomorrow afternoon we'll talk and kind of get organized again. We had our pro meetings already, but tomorrow when we get home, we'll kind of regroup and be ready to go for Monday. And you know, we're prepared. You know, if we can get somebody at the right number and or not, we'll wait. We're confident that we'll fill our roster out one way or the other.
Steve, guys like Patrick and Shane and David Braun all were such big game performers for you. Does that put more urgency on? Like we just talked yesterday about, you know, there's going to be more expectation on this team just to have guys like that in the lineup. I mean, not everybody can be a difference maker when it matters.
We would love to bring everybody back. That's going to be really difficult to do. When we know our restricted free agents, we know we're just not going to have enough money to bring everybody back. It's just not the way it's going to work, and we'd love to bring everybody back, but we're not. We're trying to do deals with all these guys that allow us to almost bring them all back, but I'm not sure we'll be able to do that.
Do you kind of have earmarked as some set aside for Cider and from Moritz and Lucas? I mean, that they're going to take up this chunk, whether or not you have them done.
Yeah, exactly.
If you aren't able to keep Kane, how do you kind of balance knowing that there'd be a spot in the top 6 that you'd have to fill with? Obviously, I know everything you do, you want to make sure it makes sense for you guys, you know, financially, long term, all that stuff.
I'm not sure what your question is.
I guess just kind of how big of a priority is it to fill that for next year, or is it a situation where you could see not going for a big, you know, heavy hitter, I guess, so to speak, in the top 6?
Well, we are, you know, we'd love to get Patrick Kane signed. That's our first priority. I would say on wingers, I don't anticipate us. I mean, you never really know, but we got Alex DeBrincat, what I consider a sizable commitment to Alex as far as salary. We're looking to, we're hoping to do something long term with Lucas. If we can't, we'll do something short term with him. But our first priority is long term, so we're going to have a lot of money tied up in 2 wingers. Can we go long term and a lot of money on another winger? It's something to consider. Depends on who it is. Depend on a lot of things. So every player has I guess go by every player. It's not just do we like the player, do we like him at the dollar amount? And so whoever it is, if we like him at X dollars and we can fit it in, we'll try to do that.
I know you talked about before the draft about how everything's kind of crunched together. How do you keep all those balls in the air when you got drafting, free agency, potential trades? That's a lot on your plate.
Yeah, we've had time, for the draft. Chris and his staff, they're very well organized, very well prepared. So when we got here, just kind of finalizing a little. So kind of knew what we wanted to do with the draft when we come in here. But it really is a distraction when you have a lot of other things on your mind. But we're all kind of used to it now. This is the way it's been for the last few years, and you just kind of roll with it and try to be as organized as you can beforehand and be prepared. And we get back. We'll get back, and development camp starts tomorrow, and July 1 free agency starts. So just kind of plow through it.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
See you guys. We'll see you
See you
next
back
week.
there.
Yeah, we will.